Hi, good morning, good afternoon from sunny Lisbon. Together with me, Rumana Ibrahim, I have three wonderful women that I personally admire. And before I start our panel, let me make a small introduction about each of them. Linda Pereira, she's a wonderful lady. She worked for many years in the political side, in events that made a huge impact in the 20th century. She's very proud of the work she had done in the European Union that really made the basis of what she did and what she is in terms of a political side. And of course, I cannot talk about Linda without mention her contribution in the laws that made our life in terms of ladies and the contribution that turned our lives very, very easy. Isabel, uh, she is an entrepreneur for more than 20 years. She is the responsible for us to have investor ladies in Portugal, and she is the president of the investment business angels investment in Portugal, and the only women that ever occupied this place. Isabel is an entrepreneur by heart. And today we will be very glad to hear her opinion and her insights about this thematics. With us, we still have Claudia Silva. She is the ambassador for Women in Tech in Portugal, and she is also a computer science engineer, and she works in many big organizations. Claudia was raised in a matriarchal family that had very huge and very big values that were really important in terms of what she is today. Um, Both her grandmothers, one of them had 10 kids and raised them in with a very entrepreneurship basis. And the other grandmother had three daughters that all of them were had a degree. So she really understood what education would be and the role of education in women's life. Beside that, Claudia is also a mom, and by having a degree in the tech area, she believes that that's the highest contribution that she has for the world and for the future. Myself, I'm a self-made entrepreneur. I'm a doctor by degree. I worked many years in a different continent than Europe, in Africa, in Angola. I worked in areas as cosmetics, FMCG. I'm now in the tech industry, where I'm a founder of an insurtech and also related with the cybersecurity area. And I'm very glad of being raised in a family with really strong values that made of me the woman that I am today. But more than anything, we are here today to talk about how can we support women to go forward in life and to succeed in their careers. And we joined this panel with women that really have an important role in the areas that they act, and really have an important role in supporting other women and make sure that they succeed in the areas that they have their ways of working. Linda, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, you are a very experienced woman. Can you please let me know from your perspective, um, how can we help women succeed?
Good morning. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. And it's such a pleasure to be on a panel, such a beautiful panel, and so proactive as well, which is very important. I believe that you need to have different corners of a triangle to create success. You first need to have the desire and the wish to commit yourself to a road which is not easy. Okay, so you need to have the fight. I call it the oomph. You need to have the oomph in you to want to succeed and to achieve something, and you need to have a focus. But you also need, and this is where I have always hammered, you also need to change the way that the world views diversity and the way that the world views people and different perspectives on business and different perspectives on life. And I think that comes through education. Education is very important. Education has always been, from my own personal experience, I was lucky enough to be educated in the UK, which did not at the time when I was in school differ very much from the way we educated girls or boys. But there should be a difference. Today, I know that there should be a difference. Girls and boys think differently. They look at the world differently and they have a different perspective. So I think that education policies, laws are important, but without the underlying education policies that teach people with different perspectives in different ways, then we're not going to move as fast as we would like to move. So for me, changing the way we educate people and the way we create programs, because as you know, boys say, what does it do and how does it work, and girls say, what's it for? What's it for? What's it for? We look at things differently, and this must be the fundamental premises of the way we educate our young people, and this will change the world.
Very good. Isabel, you have a different experience from Linda in the areas that you've been working. As an investor, what is your point of view? What is missing so we can make more women succeed?
Hello, everybody. Do you hear me? Hello, everybody. Good morning or good afternoon. Romana, after these Linda statements, I can go away because she told you, she told everything. Okay, so but it's true. Oh, Linda is amazing, and she spoke about two questions, very important questions. Okay, one is education, one is the commitment of each one of us.
Sure.
In my sector or in in the investment area, what I think that the most important to women in our days to succeed is to want it, okay? Because all the opportunities are, women's are in all in every universities, every women are number. So if women are in the universities and the schools, they are the larger number of degrees and doctorates. Why go ahead with investments and to found their own enterprises and their own companies? So if they are prepared, they want to be entrepreneurs. They must commitment. They have a commitment with it. So the most important thing in this moment is empower women as entrepreneurs, empower women as founders, and we can do it with role models and to more confidence to women, to more
Bringing more
to
confidence with them.
go to start. Yes,
Very
is
good.
it.
Claudia, you are the ambassador of Women in Tech in Portugal. Women in Tech is an international organization founded by Ayumi Moore. I myself, I'm the ambassador in Angola. You work in different big corporations. What is your point of view? What is missing for women to succeed?
The willing to try. Hi, everybody. Thank you for your invitation to be here. I think it's the willing and the passion to embrace technology. And I'm focused on the technology side because I'm dealing with that, also with business. So, but for the big corporations over here, in the national and international that we have contact with, the women, as Linda said, need to see the purpose of the things, need to understand that. So we are missing so far is the close relation between corporations and education system. I had lucky in my path to be in a university that has really proximity with entrepreneur context, and we were able to work in real projects. So I can see. As a student, I was able to see how my work could impact in the real world. So for women and for young girls, they don't really understand what is the path to be, what I'm going to do with all these subjects, what is really the purpose of all this. Can I see it in real life? Can I see the changes? So for the big corporations and to have more women in the tech fields and as a workforce, they need to be entrepreneurs. So have programs inside their own corporations to be close to the education system since the early age. And with that, we can probably mitigate the lack of women at sea level. We talk a lot of glass ceiling and how to break the glass ceiling. We have to smash it this way.
Yes.
Because with that, we will have more role models at sea level. We have representation of all X spectrums driving the innovation and related and put their as Linda said, put their ideas into the innovation of new products for the next generation. So this is my point of view. And we have good examples on that.
Yes,
Yes.
you ladies touched very important points. Linda, you just mentioned one of them that is really essential, education. Isabel, you said it all when you said that they need to go for it. They have everything well at their hands, but they need to have the will. And Claudia, you mentioned something that is really, really important, that is let's give them the tools that are just lacking to make sure that they can proceed the moment they really just go through the wall and through the mirror. Myself as an entrepreneur and as a founder in tech, what I see that is lacking sometimes it's a misunderstanding in communication. I believe that women do not say in a clear way what they want, what they pursue in life, and sometimes I think for myself, as the song. Is it an issue? Is it an inner issue? Is it something that they think I'm not capable of because we were raised with these by our families because of cultural, because of education? Is it the imposter syndrome that is always surrounding women with the perfection, and we want to be perfect on anything and everything, and we believe that we never have enough skills to proceed on the next level, because on men we never see this, and they don't want to be perfect. They just want to proceed, they just want to go, and they go, and they have their chest ready. In Portuguese we have this saying peito feito, that would be chest made, and I think that says all. That's what is missing in ourselves, in women. The chest, we need to have the chest, the chest ready. And what I always say when I'm mentoring other women is, you know where it starts the way you sit down. You are a lobster, sit down as a lobster, put yourself straight, because that will say everything about what you are and what you want, because you are in front of life, and you will absorb everything from life. Um, Now, with so much experience that we have in this panel, I believe that we have like a century of experience, and it's so amazing. I love it. Um, I really have to ask you a question that is essential. Can you kindly share a use case, something that really work in the areas that you are working, that you worked in the past, that you think that was really something that had a great impact in the way women had or have can have a successful career and help them achieve more. Linda, should I start with you again?
Well, you can, because I actually, what you said, what everybody said was really interesting. I was educated a little bit like Claudia. I was educated not by father, who was rather chauvinist and old-fashioned, although I love him dearly, but by female teachers that I have, and we continue to fight to this day about what women should be. Okay, and I was happy enough to meet teachers that saw in me more than I saw in myself. This is very important. But they didn't leave me to handle it. They pushed me into doing things. I grew up with an attitude that I am a front row woman. If there is a front row, that's for me. If it's reserved, I presume that it's reserved for me. If it says reserved, I sit on it. Let anybody get me out of there. No, it was reserved for me. I won't move.
Sorry, Linda, I have to interrupt you. I think that's for the four of us.
And I'm also a very vociferous woman, and I think this is very important. And I've set my life as an example in the sense that if I walk into an event where only men are on stage, I don't leave the room. I stand up. I tell everybody why I'm leaving, and I leave because I'm not represented on stage. And then I walk out very noisily, not quietly, very noisily. And then I share it with the whole world on every social media channel that I can. And then I make sure that everybody makes a noise. This is how I started the revolution in the World Economic Forum 10 years ago. And we created a parallel forum. All the women walked out and we created a parallel forum. It was a great success. Okay, but if I'm going to use a brilliant example that impacts and has absolute value and produces impact every day, I can choose one that is very, very current. It just started. It's both political and corporate because it's an association between the political world and the business world. And Portugal has a version of that. There is one in Spain, there is one in the UK, there is one in Scotland, and there's one in Portugal. And the one in Portugal has just started. And it was initiated by the Portuguese Business Confederation, and it's called Promova. And Promova means promote. And the promote is to promote women to the C-suite, but it's not a law. It works on women. What it does is it goes to the companies. It says select 2 women that you think have the possibility of going up in the future. Invest in them. We will educate them. Nova Business School, the Portuguese Business Confederation, the European Union. We will give them a postgraduate course for self-confidence, all the strategies they need. You then go back in the company, you mentor them, and we check up that you are really mentoring them and it's just not all talk, because there's a lot of all talk going on, promoting women just to have, to comply. And then they have a fast track to promotion. This is a brilliant instrument. It involves the companies. It actually makes the CEOs responsible for looking at women and the talent in their company, and it commits them to over 2 years to produce results. And it also results in women receiving a postgraduate education that will teach them and will equip them to fast track. Every single business confederation and every single government should be doing this. This
Yes.
should be something that is done everywhere, because as you begin to create inspirational cases, then other cases will emerge naturally. You need to push, not get the sword, push them off the plank, and then it starts becoming natural. Okay?
Well done.
And that's my example.
Isabel,
That's my example.
thank you. Thank you for sharing. I agree. I totally agree. Isabel, throughout your life, what is the use case that you think it's really worked out in supporting women and make sure that we make them grow?
Yeah. In my area, investors and founders and new entrepreneurs, two very good examples that I think that works very well. One is the incubators, where we mentor and support new women entrepreneurs, and the entrepreneurship contests among the universities and schools. And this works this works very well, because they with these instruments we can, with the contests in the school, for instance, develop the team spirit, and the team leadership also. And we try every time that teams are balanced among women and men, um, and we try that teams have always member females and men's. And at the same time, we can mentor these new entrepreneurs, and we can help them to develop very interesting new ideas. And these incubators are a very good example, that and a very good instrument that we can make, and to give more support to women entrepreneurs. By the side of investors, well, as you know, women are a more conservative way to manage their money. So they are no so normally they are not so interested to invest, and so especially invest in startups, because it's risk capital. So and become business angels. It's not easy. Not only but in Europe, it's not easy. If you Google a little, you can find lots of women investor women, business angels, women in Brazil or in the United States. But here in Europe, and especially in Portugal, if you Google, it's quite difficult, because it's our way of life, it's our mindset. So it's not easy that women be risk capital, and because we are not so risky as men. So in Europe, some organizations, business angel organizations, are developing programs and projects to encourage women to become business angels. And it's very important and very interesting, because there, with these programs, women can understand better how it works, what is to be a business angel, how we can help other projects to raising money. This mystifies a little bit this question of invest risk capital, because we can invest small money and more, when we are business, not we only not put our money, but especially our expertise,
Expertise,
our
of course. Yeah.
network. And when women understand it, they are much more interested to become business angels. So the examples that I want to speak about today is for a side the opportunity to have more incubators to new entrepreneurs and to mentor new women entrepreneurs, and there give them all the confidence to develop their own projects. And for other side, do new programs to promote business angel between women investors and to try to push women to become new business angels. So I think we can repeat these examples to support more new women in entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. Claudia, well, having a computer science among us and a woman in tech ambassador, give us an example of what really can succeed and what really already succeeded.
So tackle a little bit what Linda said about the organizations and the education. I believe that we need to focus in the education first. And organizations are doing some events and some proximity with the universities, but they need to be in the other levels of education. So for the schools in the high level or in the primary schools also. One example that is truly give the women and young generation to see the purpose of all of these and how technology could drive all the roles that we have so far, because almost every roles and every professions nowadays are driven by technology.
Absolutely.
One big example is one that we tackle here in Portugal, and it was really close to me, that we bring 100 young women between 17 and 23 years old, one day long into a big corporation to with talks, TED talks, workshops, and to see in real life what we are doing in technology that tackle their daily lives, and how can relate the things the subjects that they are learning into the real life, like taking the subway, like traffic lights, how that is managed, how data is really impacting their daily lives, how AR, which are really doing something to drive new ways of working. So they were amazed because we have women from that were taking law degree, we have people from STEM, and we have also people from arts. And that is all connected. And we need to highlight also the uniqueness of being a woman. We don't want to be like the men. We have differences. And we need to tackle that.
That's the biggest value.
Right, Linda, we need to see that we are really different, and our ideas, it's really an added value, an asset to any team. So for me, if I want to highlight one of those, it will be that. And also big corporations are doing more transparency in the salary gap, are doing more transparency about the job role models. They want to avoid and mitigate the bias into the recruitment. And that also is helping a woman to succeed. So over here, we have a lot of corporations that I am aware of that are doing mentoring from the women that are in big position. They are mentoring other team managers that want success also and have the skills to be ramped up to the next level. They are doing that programs. It's not easy, just a hype or employer branding stuff. They are really doing things in real life, but we need to do more, because and I'm talking for Portugal, we are turning to be the tech hub for the whole Europe and the world. So big companies from tech are being here with a lot of companies and settling in Lisbon. And we need to have a workforce prepared. And they
Yes.
have really the compliance and the rules to employ more women, to have the gender balance in their companies. And if you don't train these people, and most of them want to be people ready to work, women ready to work in cyber, ready to work in blockchain, but they don't realize they need to construct their own programs to train them. And we have a lot of women between 30 and 40 years old that suddenly, after taking a degree, being a mom, and have married, they suddenly said, I don't really like what I do in daily basis. I have another passion, and technology could be a driver for changing their path. So if the corporations realize that and do programs about reskilling and upskilling, they probably will have an extra workforce. They can use the knowledge they already have and bring that skills into the new role. So I think some of them are doing that, but it's a nice to have or a must have, and I leave here the call to action. And if you want, we have four wonderful women here that could help you on that.
Absolutely. No, and I need to say, Claudia, and picking up just whatever you were mentioning, um, I see whenever I write an article about, for instance, I remember one that I wrote about, I'm a mom. Am I allowed to travel? I don't know how many women inspired saying, "Oh my God, I had the same issue, so it means that I'm allowed to travel." So it's okay. So there's no issue about it. So imagine if an individual can do that. What organizations can do, what an organization can do, and we are hiring 10, 100, 1,000 people. What if all the organizations have the same focus and they are following the same just the same lines of action? What would be the result? uh, that would be just absolutely amazing. And the result, when we're thinking about the mentorship programs that Isabel was mentioning, and that doesn't cost a lot of money. That's not the big investment and the big numbers at the end of the year. That costs a bit of time from a lot of people, and I'm not just talking about women. I'm talking about mixed groups, women and men, because that's where the value is, aggregating these teams. Um, and that's where we women need to have, and we will of course just grow as individuals, and we will just well, follow up on the small issues that we might have, create confidence, and from there, well, the sky is the limit. And the end result for the companies is, in terms of results, in terms of economical results, well, it's a non-ending, because what we can achieve together as teams is really, really, really high. And I see it in my companies, in either a smaller scale or a higher scale. In a higher scale, the moment we started doing it, we do achieve much more from people, and we have people with us, and that's exactly where the capital of a company is, having people with us. But well, we just tackled the where is the biggest issue, or how do we see where is it happening? We tackle where is this the solution or a use case of something that is really working out. But let's go a little bit more personally, if you do not mind. What was the biggest challenge? And let's be very clear, very straight from the heart to all the audience that is watching us. What was the biggest challenge that you faced as a woman?
Oh, where do I start? I'm the oldest, I
Oh,
think.
no, no,
So
no, no. Time is flying. We have 20 minutes to finish our session, and we have so
okay,
much to
no,
do. So
no,
let's
I was actually
serious.
joking. I'm from a generation where things were not like they are today. Obviously, when I started out with this intention of there's no barriers, I don't see any barriers. I just started rushing forward like an elephant in a china shop, and then I realized that I was being pushed back. In addition to that, I moved countries. I moved from the UK to Portugal. I went to the European Union, and from the European Union to Portugal. And I work mostly with regions of the world. I work a lot with Africa, and I work a lot with Europe. And what I find is that we cannot say that we have parity, that we have equal opportunities, because that's not true. We're looking at the world through our European eyes. That's not the world. There isn't. Their opportunities are not there. The world is not flat. And we're living in luxury in Europe, because even though we don't have what we would like to have, we are still way ahead of everybody else, even the UK now, and even the United States. I look at places that amaze me. In Iran recently, I was at the World Congress of Technology Parks, and when we're talking about Iran, they are way ahead of us in mentoring women for technology. They have financing, they have education focused on women, they have a president of the largest technology park is a woman. They want to inspire women, they have meetings of women engineers, etc. Then you look at Scotland, and this is my experience of life, and this is where I started learning. I learned in conferences, I learned in places where, wait a minute, I can have a go. And when people said I couldn't, I always had the personality of saying, why not? Explain. But not everybody's like that. When I told my daughter that the world was her oyster, she doesn't see the world as a barrier until she got to 30. And then at 30, she realized, I want to go up, and wait a minute, I can't. There's something there. And this is today. So it's very important that we don't look at the world as we see it. We look at the world as it is. This is and we're not looking at the world a lot as it is. And so when I started working in politics, I was given women's issues. Wait a minute, I want more than that. When I went into the corporate arena, I was given human resources or PR or marketing. I want strategy. I want business development. And I'm not the kind of person who stays quiet. I was happy enough to have some stupid CEOs that taught me what not to do. And I was lucky enough to have brilliant people, male CEOs, who listened to me, because it's about listening, and realized that I had something to say. What I'm telling women is, from my experience, and what I learned is, don't take no as the answer. No is just the first part of the conversation. It's your job to keep arguing back and proving and putting your request on the table. No, but I can do it. But I can do it. But I know how to do it. But I can do it. But won't you be having children? Yes. Won't you be having children?
Of course. Very good.
Okay.
Isabel,
all right.
Very, very fast. What was your biggest challenge?
My biggest challenge.
No,
my biggest.
Isabel,
I was wondering. Right? Yeah. Okay. Isabel.
My biggest challenge. Do you hear me? Do you hear me?
We can hear you. Yes.
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So my biggest challenge was challenge all the rules years ago. Okay. Because I all my career supporting new women entrepreneurs and special female entrepreneurship since 1989. So if you have problems to travel abroad today because you have sons, imagine me 30 years ago with because the people mindset were completely different 30 years ago. So I started all my this work to support entrepreneurs in a time, in a época that I had no role models. And even when I start, I have my first experience as business angel in 1998. Imagine. And I never heard before speaking or talking about women business angels. So I had no role models. Everything I learned by myself with
Mhm.
lot of errors, with lot of wrong situations, but I did it. So see, my big challenge was launched myself in as investor, as mentor, and even as entrepreneur, with no role models, with no supports, and with no woman by my side. Okay, so this was my big challenge. Of course, I had lot of others big challenges that I could speak with you, but we have no time for it.
Yes. But I have to say that although you had no women by your side, you are one of the women that supports more women. And I'm one of those examples. So I have to thank you. Claudia, um, please share with us. Challenge.
Challenge as a woman. So I'm going to take this personally, okay? And very personally, I never perceived this barrier between men and women. So although I had a lot of strong women in my life, my father is an engineer. So he is the guilty of me being in tech nowadays and be a computer science. And he's my biggest supporter ever. So I never heard from him say I cannot do something, or you should pursue something. Just do whatever you want in your life. And I never saw these kind of things of barriers being in the computer science field until I returned for my third maternity leave. So I had two kids, and when I returned for my third maternity leave, I have no place in the company.
Mhm.
So they are trying for 1, 2, 3 months to look within the company where I'm putting these resource. And they saw me and look at me like, okay, this is operational cost rather revenue, you know? And being an operation cost is a place that you don't want it to be, right? So I faced this challenge, and within and then I started to work in another big company. And after a while, it was being said by a woman to me, my director, that said I was an error for casting. So I looked at her and said, really, yeah, I need a male. This was the words. I need a male single that could travel to Africa and perceived as strong, and not you as a woman. And I said, what? This is not the place that I want to be. This is not really the place that I want to be represented of. And this is not me. So this was really the big challenges. But I thank you all, because
Exactly.
without that, I could not be here.
That's
So
it.
I would be talking to you and explaining that I really mitigate these failures, if you want to see, in my career, and overcome that, because I really knew what was my passion, and really talking about business and strategy and empower another woman.
So,
Without you, I could not be here where I am today. So
yes,
thank you all. So
I
embrace your failures and turn it
absolutely.
to
And
success.
yes,
Okay.
it's not just the failures; it's the challenges them by
Yeah.
themselves.
Yes,
I
yes.
see it. I see it from my experience. I didn't have an easy life when I was 23, and I got married. I decided to go to Angola. Nobody in 2003 would decided to go to Angola, so everybody was looking at me and looking, what are you doing? You're just ruining your career. And I had the family of my ex-husband saying she won't last there for a week. She will just come back to Europe because she's like an European lady. She won't handle it. And by the next day, And no, before next day, on the day I arrived there, I was going to an apartment this site, and in that day, while we were in the plane, the ceiling of the kitchen went down, and there was water until our knee, and there was cockroaches all over the house, and I had panic for cockroaches. And but by the next day, I was in the car driving all over the city, and he had his family on the phone asking, "Where is she?" And he said, "Well, she's driving, she's doing everything." And they said, "No, it's not possible. She won't last there a week." And he said, "Well, I don't think so. I think I will be the one not lasting here a week with her." Reality is, the biggest challenge I had through all my life, and I don't see the fact that having kids, and I have two adorable kids that I'm sure are watching me now. The fact that we need to give them time, and we need to spend time and work with them through and create them. That's not the challenge. The challenge is the obstacles that we have through life, and it's very painful to say that most of them were created by women. Most of them were created by women that didn't want me to see to succeed. So I always had to go all around the room and make sure, look, I'm not taking your place. I'm not doing and bypassing you. I'm embracing you. So we will grow together. And I was always the kind of entrepreneur, not the one to grow in the organization. But still, whenever I had a board meeting in the banks, whenever I had a board meeting with suppliers or whatever, I always had this issue because when it was the women, they were always looking at me with the eye on the side. Even on university, or before that, because to get to medicine, we had to have huge grades. I remember one of my teachers telling me, it's having a nice face or a pretty face is not enough. You really have to work hard. And I was looking at her, and I even had, I was so touched that I have to tell her, you never think on just turning a 9 into a 10, but to pass an 18.4 to a 19, you are just making all this big deal. So really, it is not fair, and you are really bringing up. It's not, you don't just need to have a pretty face to make it. So women are a challenge in our own life, and it's something that we need to change to support ourselves. But let's go a little bit forward, because we have challenges, but we also have other things that inspire us to go through this, and to make sure that we can conquer the world. What make you conquer the world, Linda? What does inspire you every day?
Continuous desire to go further. I don't ever see the end of the road. It's interesting because I had when I was younger, there was a teacher who said to me, "What are your 3 wishes? If you could do 3 things, what would you do?" And I fulfilled those wishes. So I decided that every time I fulfill one, I have another one on top. Well, and I have another one on top, and I just keep moving forward. I'm very resilient. I believe in doing things that have an impact. I'm an entrepreneur. I have one leg in the political world and one leg in the business world because I'm an entrepreneur. I'm suffering the impact of COVID. I'm in actual business that will be the last to come out because I work in the event sector. So goodbye until next year. But I'm sitting here. I have no one on layoff. We're all working and thinking how we can pivot the business to add new perspectives to business, new services. I have always been like that, always. But I think it's also nature and nurture. I have the nature of wanting to achieve, but I was nurtured to do so by primary teachers, by other women. I was inspired by great women leaders. The person I most disliked in politics all my life was Margaret Thatcher. She stood for everything I did not believe. She is the person I most admire. Can you believe that that can happen?
Yes,
I absolutely do not agree with her on anything.
anything.
And the moment she became prime minister, she took women 20 years back.
Sure.
But she's the woman I most admire because she took over. She fought for her place. She implemented her wishes. She adapted her personality to lead the country in times of trouble. She completely changed the face of Britain. We're not discussing for good or for worse. What I'm discussing is she showed me that you can achieve something irrespective of being a man or a woman. She was more admired by men than by women. I didn't like her. She was a minister at all.
Isabel,
but she was a leader.
Very fast. What makes you go through every day and conquer the world? What does inspire you?
My family, my family, my family. So, I have I'm proud of my grandmother because 100 years ago she was a leader and she was an entrepreneur. And I'm very, very, very proud of my aunt. She is 80 years old now, and she was a leader. She was an entrepreneur. And I'm very, very proud of my mother that she's 80 and she was a leader and she was an entrepreneur. So what do you want that I say to you?
No. You don't have to say
They
anything else.
inspired me. Inspired
They are the
me
one.
every day.
They made you. Yeah, they made you. Claudia, what about you?
Yeah,
Well,
of course.
what drives me? I have a lot of passions, so I have a lot of interests. So I'm never stopped, and that's why I keep learning. So learning new things and embracing new challenges is what drives me. Even if I don't know anything about it, I just say yes, and then I do like the boys. I be bold, and I will learn to do it. But the challenge as itself makes me want more and achieve more. So if it's a challenge that I'm not comfortable with, that push me out of my comfort zone, I will say yes in the first place because I will embrace it with my open arms and push me forward. And also all the girls that and all the women that get in touch with me every day to seek for advice.
Yeah.
So yeah, seek for advice. I really want to do this. I want to do that. How can I do it? How you did it? Can I have a piece of advice for you? And I spend time with them. So my time with them is really rich. So that's my two things that drives me.
That's great. Well, in my case, whenever they ask me what are my role models, I always say I don't know their lives to say if they are role models for me or not. But my biggest role model is my mom. She is an extraordinary woman. She went through a lot in life. She didn't raise three but six kids that we are at home in an amazing way, always with a smile, always sweet, always worried about our education and explaining us why. And not just you have to do this, no, but always taking the moment to explain us why you have to and why is that so important for. And well, she is still my biggest supporter. I always have to travel a lot. Not now. We are always now we are living a different life. But she is still my biggest supporter, and always giving me strength. And whenever I have a question, whenever I have a doubt, I nowadays have my kids telling me, "Yo, you go, Queen," as they say on an American way. You just go and you can do it. So it is our family that really make us go and really conquer the world. We are really reaching the end. I really make here a call for attention to all the organizations to really have a moment and think about creating these programs for women, because from our experience, and as I mentioned in the beginning, we have more than 100 years of experience here on stage in different areas, from political to investment to working in big corporations as an entrepreneur in tech and in real estate. What we see is that either in a small scale or going to a higher scale, we always see that really creating these mentoring programs, giving tools to women is really important, and it is something that really adds value, and in terms of revenue really creates an impact. The investment is not that big, and it's something that it's not also hard to do. Do not hesitate in contact any of us through LinkedIn. You have our profiles in the speakers zone of the website. Do not hesitate in contact any of us. We'll be more than happy to support any of your companies wherever you are. And well, we are here for women, we are here for men, and we are here for the world to proceed. And the only way to do that is to make sure that we are together, because alone we can never go forward. I'm sure that I know Claudia, Isabel, and Linda so well, that I will take the words from their mouth. And that the four of us are for humanity and for people, and we believe in people so much, that we are a reference for each other. I will close my eyes, and if someone asks me, I will say, no, just go for Linda or just go for Isabel. I know that Isabel will say, just go for Claudia, go for Romana, and so on. So when we have this with people, we have the world. So really, do not think in creating or pursuing the world alone. Do it with people, and do not hesitate in having us by your side.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you.